Welcome into another edition of the Rockets Collective. We got Brad and Will from the Brad and Will Show. We got LaShard Binkley from Rockets Fuel Podcast and Sports Illustrated as well. And myself, Brandon Scott, here from the B Block Podcast and Sports Radio 610. Look, we got a lot to talk about. A lot. It feels like a lot has happened in the less than a week since the last time we chopped it up. Rockets played 3 games. They went 1-2 in those 3 games. Also, they got the buyout market that we can discuss as well. So we're gonna do all of that. All right. And we're excited to do it and appreciate everybody for joining. We also want to hear from y'all. So make sure that you are active in the chat as well. We'll get to your questions throughout the show and especially at the end. But before we do any of that, I got to tell y'all about Prize Picks, man, because look, reality is football season is over with. So you can throw all your little gambling money at Prize Picks or at the NBA if you want to, as long as you gamble responsibly. But the thing is, Prize Picks is actually the best place to win cash while you watch sports. The app is really easy to use. To make a lineup, all you got to do is pick more or less on a few player stats, and you can use Prize Picks in over 40 states, including Texas and California. And the best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. So that means win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups, and all you got to do is use the promo code Rockets. Download the app now. Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. All right, y'all. Like I mentioned, Rockets went 1-2 over the last several days or so since the last time we talked. Had a couple really bad, I would say, embarrassing. If you care about the go ahead.
No, not even that. I know it's off topic. It is Malice in the Palace Part 2 in this Hornets Pistons game. They are going crazy.
Yes. Oh, no. Are you serious?
Yes. It is. Funny enough, no, it is Jalen Duren, Musa Diabate, Miles Bridges.
Yeah, Duren gets into it as well.
Can you put it on live?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I need to pull up my?
Go ahead, share screen.
They're about to have some real suspensions. It's gonna be some ejections. This is getting crazy. My fault, man. I didn't mean to interrupt the show, but this
that's something you interrupt the show with.
Nah, I was gonna say this is not even a Peacock game too, so I got to go into my league pass to find this.
If y'all are watching it at home, man, go league pass it real quick. I just had to pull it up on the side. I started seeing dudes lose their minds.
I'm not seeing it nowhere.
Look,
it just happened. Like as we're talking, as bro was doing the intro, it literally just happened.
Dude, and do you want it with Jalen Duren?
I don't think you do.
Bruh is built like a doggone brick, like a statue.
No, that's the last person you want to try.
I'm just trying to say, what would he have to do? What would he have to do for me to be like, yeah, let's square up?
Usually when dudes get into fights in the NBA, they might throw a shove here and there, and then they'll like hold me back. Nah, that wasn't this one. They was not trying to get held back this time, man.
Well, when the footage comes out, let's roll it later.
No, that's
we go back to Rockets.
No, I'm over here refreshing the timeline. All right, so
me too.
Like I mentioned, man, I'll get a sip of my coffee here as I ponder on all of this. We had two really, I would say, if you care about the Rockets and care about like their well-being and how they play, two really bad losses back to back to the Celtics and then to the Charlotte Hornets the next night. And then on Saturday, a pretty good win against albeit depleted Oklahoma City Thunder team, but yeah, young guys play well. They played well early. So here's how I want to kick it off with y'all. Are y'all more concerned by what you saw in those back-to-back losses, which to be clear again was really bad, or more encouraged by what you saw on Saturday? Like, where's the focus for you guys right now after you kind of take inventory of this last week of Rockets basketball? We start with you, Brad.
I kind of feel the same, and I feel the same because one, yes, the Rockets are a very injured team, and they had a really good win. The young core played extremely well against Oklahoma City, and that's what it takes. Like, the Rockets aren't going to be anything if that young core is not performing the way they are supposed to, and there's still a lot of things that need to be fixed. We need to see, like Sengun, he came back with 17, 12, and 11, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 50% from the field. He was efficient. He hit a 3. The defense looked amazing. That's the best his defense has looked in a while. So I need to see that consistently. Again, this is a guy who is could be an all NBA caliber player. So we need that from him consistently. Reed Shepard looked good. He had 16.6 assists. That's something we have not been getting. Like prior to that game, he was shooting 10 of 50 on his last 53-point attempts, and that was killing Houston. They need his shooting. A team that does not take a lot of threes. They took a lot of threes against Oklahoma City, which was the reason they won that game. They outshot Oklahoma City from three in attempts and makes. That's very key going forward. Jabari's been a bright spot. We're going to talk about him. There's a lot of things. The effort, the turnovers, and it came at the worst possible time with the trade deadline. So, and they obviously didn't make any moves. We'll talk about that later as well. But I just need the consistency going forward. And they have to find a fix to Amin Thompson being guarded by centers. We didn't have to worry about that, of course, in this last game. And funny enough, the Hornets didn't even use a center on Amin Thompson, from my memory. So when that does happen, they need to find a fix. These are the things that are coming off the top of my head. But they're capable. They're capable of it. Like the game looked good against Oklahoma City, right? So we'll see going forward. Have Clippers back to back, and hopefully they perform. I'm curious to see what y'all have to say too.
What you will?
I don't. I struggle to kind of come up with a consensus take for the Rockets right now. They're just kind of in a weird spot where not that many teams would be able to be successful without their starting point guard, without their six man. Amin Thompson was hurt that last game. We won it, but he wasn't there. Shingun's been kind of dealing with injuries. Tari Eason and DFS, they'll miss every other game. They all got ejected. But yeah, it's just hard for me to kind of sit here and say too much. It's like on one hand, it's like we're pretty banged up. On the other hand, it's just like we lost to the. I mean, the Hornets they're good right now, but like, come on, you never want to lose to the Hornets. I think the Rockets need to go ahead and pick a struggle, right? Because like I said, I'm watching this Hornets Pistons game, and it's been a great game, great back and forth. And the reason for it is the Pistons are shooting 14% from three on just 14 attempts, but they're killing it on the glass and they're not turning it over, which kind of resembles what we did last year with Fred, is that we didn't turn the ball over. And with Adams, we killed the glass. The reason why Charlotte isn't getting blown out is because they're shooting 45% from three. So even though they have less rebounds and more turnovers, they're shooting 45% from three on damn near 30 attempts. And we're still at the start of the third quarter. So the Rockets do neither. We turn the ball over a lot. We don't rebound as well as we did last season, and we don't put up threes on volume. We don't put them up. We don't even make them on volume, let alone put them up on volume. And it's just kind of like in 2026, you kind of got to pick a struggle. And last year, we our struggle was, okay, we're not gonna be the best 3-point shooting team, but we're not gonna turn the ball over, and we're gonna get rebounds. We don't do any of the this year, so that's kind of been the biggest difference. And a lot of that kind of has to do with the fact that, like I said, the guys who were brought in to suppress turnovers and Fred gone. The guys who brought in to help us rebound and Adams gone. We lost some of that grit when we lost Dylan, and we tried to replace it with DFS, and so far he hasn't been that. So it's just kind of like I said, they got to pick a struggle, man.
LaShawn, before I go to you, man, I'm curious what you think about like the makeup of the team in terms of like its attitude and approach. Like some of the stuff that Ime was talking about. Some people, I know a lot of Rockets Twitter is like, this is a cop out. This is Ime not holding himself accountable for this, that, and the third. But I think he is speaking to something about kind of what Will just talked about them losing their edge, and then sometimes that effort not being there. Like it was shocking. Last time I saw you was right around halftime of that Boston game, right?
I think you were leaving, weren't you?
Yeah, I was leaving. I was a little bit under the weather, and it turns out I did not miss much. Like as soon as I get in the car, as soon as I get in the car, Boston starts raining threes after neither team could really shoot in the first half. And then the next, this is the part that was shocking to me and kind of a little offensive to me, was just that the next night, maybe I was a little bit naive to think this, but I was like, oh, well, surely they're not going to kind of come out with that effort again after the way the night before went, going up against a team that had no Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Jason Tatum has not played, has not been available this year, but like you're watching both of those guys, neither of those guys on the floor, you get cooked by Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. And I figured the next night you'll show some pride, especially against a team that's been hot in Charlotte. Yeah. So I'm curious what you think about that dynamic in terms of the team. And to be fair, they did show up Saturday, but like, I guess to shorten it up, man, like what's going on with this squad?
I think it's a combination of things. Kind of the problem is, like Will was talking about a little bit, they don't dominate on the boards anymore. A lot of that has to do with Steven Adams not being here. I think people kind of see now that even though a lot of his numbers look great, it's a lot of stuff that you don't see in his numbers. When he's on the court, you have two or three people that have to box him out, which opens up rebounding for everybody else on the court. And now you don't have that. Now the Rockets are struggling to out rebound anybody, let alone dominate. So they're not a really good offensive team to begin with. I mean, I know the numbers say that they were, I know Rafael said they were top five offense and all that stuff. That was a lot of numbers from the beginning of the season. But they're not really a great offensive team. They don't have a lot of diversity on offense. So I know people get tired of hearing it, but it's about energy and effort for the Rockets because a lot of nights other teams have a better offensive structure than the Rockets do. The Rockets have to beat teams by out rebounding them, out hustling them, playing good defense. And you see when they don't do that, they're not a really high volume shooting 3-point team. So they can't beat teams like that. They're not the Boston Celtics where they can go out there and shoot 53s every night and win that way. They have to win by out hustling teams and by dominate on the boards, and they need to figure out how to do that without Steven Adams because Steven Adams is not coming back. Clint Capella plays 8 minutes a game, even with Adams out. So now you're dependent on everybody else to kind of pick up that offensive rebound and slack specifically. So to me, that is their biggest problem. If they don't go out there and play hard and out hustle teams, they're going to struggle because that's kind of their identity. That's how they have to win these games. They're not going to win games by being the prettiest team on the court. We already know that's not going to happen. So they have to win those games by that. And I think that's why Ime's always saying it so much because he knows that's how they have to win games. They're just not built to, be a 2017 looking Golden State Warriors team where it's a bunch of pretty passes and people coming off screens and coming off backdoor cuts. That's just not the Rockets. The Rockets just have to outwork teams, and they didn't do that in those two games, and that's why it was so embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that was the part for me that was the biggest because what Will is saying is the case, man. Like this is a depleted team. This is not, and I think this is part of like the struggle or the frustrating part when you talk about the effort, but then also like this is not what this team's supposed to look like, right?
Yeah.
Fred's supposed to be out there. Steven Adams is supposed to be out there, right? And we get it. Everybody gets poor injury luck at some point, but those guys are supposed to be out there, right? The DFS signing. Like I think the gap between the expectation that a lot of people were having, like him being a starter, and then what you're actually getting from him could not be wider. So that's not supposed to look like that. And then they're missing all of these.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just real quick, you have to think about it. Kevin Durant's basically replacing Jalen Green. Of course, Kevin Durant's better than Jalen Green, but Jalen was still your leading scorer. So as far as scoring is concerned, it's not a big gap between the two guys. As far as what they were averaging, like I said, I know Kevin Durant's a more efficient player, but where I'm going with this is you're basically replacing Dylan Brooks, who had a career year from 3-point range and was your second best defender behind Amen, with Dorian Finney-Smith, who's, I mean, let's just be perfectly honest, whatever the reason is, he has been probably the worst player on their entire team. And again, we know the reason why, because, he's still trying to get back to a certain point, but the gap between Dylan Brooks and Dorian Finney-Smith is huge, and I think that plays a big part. And then you take away Fred VanVleet, and then you take away Steven Adams, who was like your best player in the playoffs. I mean, that's a lot to overcome. So the Rockets just got to make some adjustments the rest of the season for them to even get out of the first round. But right now, the way they're playing right now, they have to get a certain matchup to win the first round. That could change, later in the season. Players start to play better. Alpy gets a little bit more healthy. Jabari Smith continues to play the way he's been playing the last couple of weeks. But the way they're playing right now, they have to have a certain matchup to even get out of the first round, if we're being honest.
I'm curious, man. Are y'all like does it feel like it's a little bit of a punting of the season? Like not even just to make excuses, but like all of these things that we just listed, everybody that they're missing, the lapses in offense, the fact that it seems like the personality of the team is not quite the same, or that they're missing something. Like, how do y'all feel about their chances when you look around the league, and we all follow the league closely? Like when you look at the OKCs of the world, who they just beat shorthanded, albeit the Denvers of the world, San Antonio's. Like, how do y'all feel like the Rockets at this point? Now that the trade deadline is over and we've seen them play post trade deadline, we'll talk about the buyout market in a second. But how do y'all feel about the way this team stacks up right now? Does it Does it feel like there's something that there's worth being optimistic about going into the latter part of the season? Yeah, go back around the horn.
So I'll say this: I don't think they're punting. Again, it's underwhelming. Of course, you just have your two worst losses of the season, and the trade deadline passes, and you don't make a move. I understand the frustration. The guys they were going for, ideally you'd want to trade Steven Adams or Dorian Finney-Smith and attach some picks. And again, teams just weren't going to go for that, right? You're not going to give away a Tari Eason or another young core piece at the trade deadline to make an upgrade. That's not the move the Rockets are going to do. So if they're going to do something, it's going to be in the offseason. So I don't think it's a punt. But again, you have a young core at 5, and if they're not performing to the level they're supposed to, right now they're not. So it's seeming like a punt, but that's the issue in itself. The young core has to perform. They have to be as advertised for this team to go far or to excel in the playoffs. So I'll continue to preach that. That's the main thing. It seems like they're punting because, again, you got Reed who can't make a 3. Sengun was not looking like himself by any means at all. Jabari's having a roller coaster of a season. Amin can't shoot. Tari can't stay healthy. That's all 5 of them right there. There's things that need to be addressed, and we just have to get them to click at the same time. So I don't think they're punting. They just need the team to perform. You have 5 talented players that are young and supposed to be the future of this team. They need those guys to, do what they're supposed to do. Kevin Durant, he's doing his thing with 25.9 points per game. That's cool. I don't know what they're going to get out of Clint Capella the rest of the year. We'll talk about the buyout market and see what they could do. But I personally don't think they're punting. They just need the young guys to play.
Will, you've been saying since Fred VanVleet went down that you feel like that's when their contender status basically ended. Do you feel like reaffirmed in that? Do you feel even worse about that? Like, where are you at with it?
Yeah, no, I think that the chances of us beating the Thunder or the Denver Nuggets, I think those are the 2 best teams in the West. 2 teams, we'd probably at least beat one of them to escape the West. I think the chances of us doing that became borderline impossible without Fred. I think once Adams went down and then some of the young guys didn't take the lead we kind of expected them to take, I think it goes from, all right, I don't think we beat Denver and OKC to, man, I don't know if we get out the second round. Like I still think we win a first round series. I don't think it's gotten that bad, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I whereas before I'm like, okay, this is a conference finals team. Not too sure I even see that right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and like not to make too many excuses because the Rockets are playing bad and could obviously play better. But like I said earlier, it's like I don't know. Like if I were to tell you the starting or 2, let's say 2 of the 5 best players on whatever team in the league, we lost the Nuggets. They lost 2 of their 5 best players. We would all say they probably just don't have a chance to win anymore at that point in time. And that's where we are. We lost Fred and Steve-O for the season. Feel like you want to feel about them. Those are 2 of our 5 best players. And not only are they 2 of our 5 best players, they both play, like I said, roles that are just super responsible for why we were so successful in the past. I think people try to kind of underrate and undermine how important they were, but like I think we're seeing now that they were important for a reason. And so yeah, I think, you know what I'm saying, it's a little reason for concern. And I think the biggest reason for concern is that because both of those guys were so integral to our success and they're both getting up there in age and coming off season-ending injuries, there's a real world where they come back and they're not the same guys. And then the question is, well, what do you do then? Or do you kind of prepare for that world in the offseason? Because like, if I was a betting man, I'd say they probably aren't going to be the same guys if they're, both getting up there in age and coming off a season-ending injury. So we will see, man.
Yeah, so I respect both of those vets, Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams, and can appreciate what they bring to the table. And I think even I undervalued and underappreciated what they brought to the table. It's almost like you don't know what you got till it's gone type of thing.
Oh, did we lose B?
I was gonna say as I lost every single one of y'all and pop right back up.
I didn't know if it was just me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, everybody, including me, went into a circle. But it's the over reliance and feeling like an over usage of Kevin Durant. Like maybe he might object to that characterization because he wants to play, and I understand all of that. But I just feel like it's a team that's just way. The thing I love the most about the Kevin Durant coming to Houston was that you did have this young core, and I didn't feel like you would necessarily be leaning on him in the way that they clearly are, right? There's no way around that. So I just want to throw that out there as we talk about the concerns before we move on to the buyout market. But I throw it to you, Lashard, in terms of that, like the the over reliance on Kevin Durant. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but also like the like where they stand in the Western Conference without all of these other pieces that we're talking about. Like I don't know what you think about their chances.
I mean, like I was saying earlier, I mean, the way they're playing right now, but you also have to look at they're still fourth in the West with all the problems we just listed. I mean,
Right.
is it? I mean, you play the Lakers, or you think the Rockets will really be scared to play the Lakers? I don't necessarily think so. Like y'all were talking about with Denver, yeah, Denver's definitely be a tough, but they've been dealing with a ton of injuries. I mean, I know they still have a good chance to come back, but Watson just went out not too long ago. Jokic has been in and out of the lineup. Same thing with Aaron Gordon. They've been dealing with a ton of injuries too. So you never really know even what's going to be the situation once you get to the playoffs. Of course, we always already seen them play against San Antonio. That would be a tough matchup. And as we talked about with Oklahoma City, we already know how tough a matchup that'll be. But you really never. I mean, I won't necessarily say that the season is over or they're punting the season because you just don't know what the situation is going to be in April. I mean, the Rockets could players like maybe Dorian Finney-Smith finally picks it up. Maybe Alperen Sengun can actually get healthy and get back to the point where he was earlier in the season. You start getting some help from these other guys. Reed Shepherd finally finds his shot again. I can't believe that he's going to continue to shoot like 20%. You would hope not for the rest of the season. So you never know what's going to happen in April. So I won't necessarily say that it's a punt. But if they're playing like they're playing right now, then I wouldn't be shocked they get beat in the first round. But like I said, you don't know what's going to be happening in April. All they can do right now is just kind of continue to try to get better and see what they can maybe get lucky with in the buyout market.
I do want to shout out Reed Shepherd for starting that OKC game as if he was not shooting 10 or 50 from three. Like the start of that game was like a true like shooters approaching mentality. So hopefully you continue to see that. And to Brad's point earlier, man, that young core, they gotta step up and not just step up, but be consistent, right? Because we see what it looks like, what it's supposed to look like when it's right. So,
and B Scott, I want to say this on that same note. Reed Shepherd, he always plays that way, in my opinion. I think he always plays like he's made every shot in his life. Fair. It's just been off, man. Like Will and I say it all the time, like the process looks good. He's just got to make the shots. So I'm happy he stays true to his game. The shots just have to drop, man. So that's the main thing with him.
Yeah. And Reed is a good segue for me into the buyout market conversation because I thought about this, especially after nothing happening at the trade deadline. I'm curious to hear from y'all about the buyout market because I've looked at all the names and I'm not really interested in anybody that, like, say if they're the caliber of some of the bench guys, I'm not interested in them taking away their minutes. And then the rest of the guys I don't even think are any better than the end of the Rockets bench, right? Like I'm more okay with what they already have than what's available to the buyout market, reasonably speaking. So I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts about what they might get, but I'm curious to see what y'all are thinking. Go back around the horn.
Yeah, I'll give the realistic option. Adam Spillane, he quoted one of my tweets. He brought up a great point. J.D. Davidson only has 5 games left on his 2-way contract before he cannot be with the Rockets anymore. If I was a betting man, I'd bet that they just convert J.D. Davidson to an NBA contract. I mean, that's all I really have to say. I don't think they're gonna get a Cam. Everyone's saying Cam Thomas.
Are you good with that though? Like,
am I good with it? I'm only good with it if that's a guy I'm to actually use, because I love the defensive effort that he gave me against Oklahoma City. He uses his body extremely well. He's smart with the rock. He doesn't do too much out there. He did have 1 turnover, but hey, everyone has turnovers. It's basketball. I like the way he plays. So if you're gonna extend him, make him the 15th spot, actually use him because this team does need help. And I liked what he brought to the game against Oklahoma City.
Well, one, Cam Thomas is a Milwaukee Buck now. So
when did that happen?
Yeah, like yesterday.
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
I've been off my phone. Sheesh, I'm late.
Yeah, so he's not even an option no more. And then I don't like the Lonzo Ball thing. Chris Middleton was a name that I thought might have got bought out, but then they said a report said that he's not gonna get bought out. So I'm gonna be real, gang. It's probably just looking like JD finna get that last spot. And I agree with Brad. I'm fine with him getting that spot. Just play him, right? Just like I said, the biggest issue is we were playing like a playoff rotation in the regular season, and it's like, okay, we like guys are not going to make it to the playoffs if we're playing that way for an entire season. So it's big use him, and like he's played pretty well every time he's gotten minutes. So sign him and play him.
What do you think, LaShort?
I mean, yeah, it's not a ton of options. I mean, probably the best out of all of them is probably if Cole Anthony gets bought out by Phoenix.
I think he
Because
did get bought out, no?
He did.
They officially did it. Okay, so there you go. I mean, because I mean,
I think I'd
that's
rather
probably
see JD.
I mean, yeah, it's not
he
a
was
lot of
not good with
options.
Milwaukee, man, or wherever he was last.
Can't shoot either.
It's not a lot of options. I mean, like you say, Lonzo Ball, he can't shoot. He's went backwards this season. I mean, so it's not like somebody can just go out there. I mean, even like a D'Angelo Russell, like that's pretty much what you have to pick from right now. And because I think even Mike Conley is going back to Minnesota, so that's not even an option if you was even thinking about Mike Conley. So yeah, so you don't have a lot of options. I mean, I've always liked JD Davison game from the time he was first, getting any type of playing time. It's been a matter of him getting on the court and getting consistent minutes because, like with Isaiah Crawford, you'll see him for a 5 or 6 minute stretch, and then you may not see him for the rest of the game or next 2 or 3 games. So it's just about getting consistent minutes with any of those guys. I mean, even with, I know a lot of people don't know about Tristan Newton, but even somebody like that, I would rather just see them giving those guys some type of minutes. They just recalled him up from Rio Grande Valley. Not to say that he's going to get any minutes, but
what does he do? What does he do, Tristan Newton?
I mean, he's more of a slasher. He's more of a guy that can get to the basket. I won't necessarily say so. A great 3-point shooter. But he did, of course, play really well at UConn. Won some national championships there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd rather just see guys like that get the minutes instead of going out to getting guys that hadn't even been in your system at all on the buyout market. That none of those guys are gonna, make a huge difference. Maybe if Chris Paul was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe you would try to, get Chris Paul to maybe try to play basketball again. But it's just not a lot of options on the buyout market. And honestly, if they would do anything on the buyout market, it may be more for a big man than a guard, because I just don't know how much confidence they have in Clint Capella, because even with Steven Adams out, like I was saying earlier, they just don't play him a lot of minutes. He plays 8-10 minutes a game, and then they just go right back to the small ball lineup when Alperen's not on the court. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Maybe somebody else that we don't even know about right now, maybe they get bought out. But right now, it's just like I said, it's the Lonzo Balls and the Cole Anthonys. Those are the type of players that are out there right now.
Can I say something about Lonzo?
I wanted to. Well, while you say that, I'm gonna actually show his shooting splits on the season. So go ahead.
I have it pulled up. That's what I was going to read.
Okay, all right. Well, go ahead and say it. I'm gonna actually show them. So
he's shooting 30, 27, 67 splits, 43 true shooting. League average true shooting is about 57, 58. So he's about 14 below league average.
I want y'all to look at this. Hopefully, it's not
that young man is not good anymore. I love Lonzo Ball, but and that's when he's healthy. Because
let me hide this comment.
He's very much injury prone. So when he's healthy, he's not good. He's also, I don't know if people watch him recently. He doesn't even play point guard anymore. He's like a small forward who connective passes, but he doesn't dribble the ball up the court. He doesn't organize an offense. He doesn't break down a defense.
He's been injured. He's not the same athlete or any like glimpse physically of what he was when he first got to the league. He's just kind of taking his toll.
Look at his volume. His volume in the paint I haven't seen from a guard. He's taking 18 shots in the restricted area, 6 shots in the paint, and the efficiency is just terrible across.
Yeah, he doesn't get to the rim.
Doesn't get to the rim.
He really doesn't. He has a handle, but he doesn't penetrate a defense.
Well, think about it like this though. The Cavs. Just even, and look, I know there's a lot of respect for James here, but even in their trade for James Harden, moving out Darius Garland for James Harden, they're spending the most money anybody in NBA. This is a desperate team at the deadline. We saw their desperation at the trade deadline to try to get this right, try to make this happen. And like, if he was a useful player to a desperate team, he would be there, right? Like, I almost feel like it kind of speaks for itself. The fact that he's not there, and they kind of are.
They had him on the roster and just told him to go home.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Darius Garland was hurt for most of the season. He wasn't even. They still didn't play Lonzo Ball. So
exactly, and that's a team that's grasping for straws. So
I also somebody brought up Amin shoots better everywhere on the court except the 3-point line, and that is a 7% difference. We're talking about 2 bad shooters. Like, it's not like we're talking about a guy who's a good shooter and who's not. Like, it's just 2 bad shooters.
And the Rockets can ill
So
afford. This part is important, I think, y'all. The Rockets at this point can ill afford to bring in worse shooting or to get worse shooting the ball. Like that's just a non-starter. It should be a
I
non-option.
don't know what Lonzo provides us because he doesn't provide point guard play. I mean, I guess he's still a good defender. So maybe you want to argue
He's a
Yeah,
really
he
good defender, but
he's-
yeah,
that's
he would
still-
fit in with the whole length
but
idea.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully they
don't
don't
know.
start
I feel
playing
like
his
our
own and
defense
shit.
isn't really the issue right now. It's the fact that
Right.
we kind of can't do anything else. So I don't know. I'm good on Alonzo signing, to be honest with you.
Here's my question to y'all. I feel like there's got to be some kind of reckoning with the DFS situation, y'all. And I don't have to. I'm being honest, man. I'm bringing up a point that I don't have an exact and clear and great answer to. But when we talk about guys who need to get more minutes, that coincides with a conversation with who needs to get fewer or less. And I don't know what to do about the DFS thing. I don't know where y'all at. We can before we move on to the
look
next
at his
topic,
stats.
but
Look
I
at his
mean
stats.
it's not
Excuse me.
it's not pretty.
So I asked Ma about that today. I try to word it a way he'll actually answer. Because if you just say, is Dorian Finney-Smith going to play more or is he going to play less? He's never really going to answer the question. This just, coaches don't ever answer those questions. So, I mean, it sort of sounds like he still want to give him more time because he was saying that he understands that it's sort of like the Steven Adams situation last year where it took him some time to work his way back into the lineup or back into like kind of playing shape. But he also kind of mentioned also giving guys like Isaiah Crawford and JD Davis and those guys more playing time as well because they injected energy into the game, which they did. And that's kind of why I asked that, like, are they going to get more playing time? Because when they were in there, they were making plays. So, but honestly, just from listening to him today, it still kind of seemed like he was kind of hedging his best as far as still wanting to give DFS more time since he's still, quote unquote, working himself back into NBA playing shape, I guess.
Can I say something? I did not realize he was 3 of 23 on corner threes.
Jeez.
Man, when you pulled up that chart and I saw all that red,
Oh
I was like, bruh,
my
what is
goodness.
really going on? That actually makes it look worse than I remember or worse than what I feel like it is.
The only corner three I remember him hitting was the one he stepped out of bounds. Y'all remember that? He had his heel on the baseline.
Yeah. And that just feels like a rust thing, like just haven't been on the court enough. I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses for him, but it just has not looked. And I mentioned this earlier, but when we talk about the team not looking like what it's supposed to look like, I mean, I don't know if I can stress enough the expectation versus the reality with DFS. Like, I'm not saying he was coming there going to be all NBA type of guy, but I mean, at least I thought, I was speaking for myself, I thought that he would fill in that sort of Dylan Brooks-esque role admirably. And, I'm not trying to dog on dude. I mean, you have ankle surgery, but it just is not, that ain't it. This is not what it's supposed to look like or anywhere close. So I say all that to say, JD Davison, more Jay Sean, I don't know, stay, what do they call them? Stay ready crew. Like, it might just have to be more of that, I don't know what y'all think.
I think they should play Isaiah Crawford.
You did say that on social. I saw you.
I
saw
did.
You
He came in, hit a three, got a deflection, and then he got a steal. That's all I needed to see. That's more than I've seen from Dorian Finney-Smith the entire season. These young guys are going out there trying to prove themselves, and it's hard to get a role in the NBA. And he came in with energy. He was known, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he went to Louisiana Tech, and he was a really good defender. He knocks down threes. I know it's the G League, but he had a really good three-point percentage in the G League. And hey, look, as long as he's out there playing hard on defense and hitting threes, that's all we need. That's all we needed from Dorian Finney-Smith. And to your point, B. Scott, I agree. I really thought he was going to – you can't replace Dylan Brooks, right? But he was going to fill that void like perfectly. He shot over 40% from three last year with the Lakers and the Nets combined. And if you look at the on-off splits with him on the floor versus off, all his teams were much better, like by a huge swing when he was on the court versus off. So I thought adding that to this Houston team that just picked up a KD was going to be huge. And again, we just saw the shot chart, and he hasn't played over 20 minutes a game once. It's been an awful signing, but I like the logic of it. I saw someone comment, I don't know why they got him. Again, 40% from three, good defender, made sense. He's just, again, the ankle surgery. I don't want to make excuses for him. He's just been awful.
Yeah. I mean, I said it before on here that I thought that he was going to be outside of their price range or outside of their, like, what they could offer him. I didn't even think he was realistic for them. So when they got him, I was like, oh snap, that's really cool. That's better than I actually thought they'd be able to do. So so yeah, needless to say, that is not exactly that. Okay, so something positive though. I do feel like the silver lining. One of y'all mentioned Jabari earlier. I think it was you, Brad. But Jabari Smith Jr. Not to like do a moral victory thing here, but if we just want to isolate a silver lining, a positive thing, it's been Jabari Smith Jr. Man, I thought he was the bright spot for the Rockets in that Boston game. In the first half, there were no bright spots in the second half, but in the first half, I thought he was the singular bright spot. I thought he's had some moments. He's been really good defensively lately. I think he's averaging like, what did they say, a couple of blocks a game over the last 6 games, like a little over 2
1.4
blocks
blocks
a
a game
game.
over his last 12.
Yeah, I mean, 22 and 10 against Oklahoma City the other night or the other day afternoon. Want to get y'all's thoughts on Jabari, man. Obviously, if they're going to do anything, if they're going to be worth anything going down the stretch, they're going to need Jabari, especially as somebody. And I think it's worth noting that somebody that we've had to be critical of because of his play before. It's cool to circle back and update. I think it's looked pretty good, objectively speaking, over the last week plus or so. So curious of what y'all think of what y'all are seeing from Jabari right now in this game.
Well, we'll start with you. I'm actually pulling up your tweet about Jabari so we can have his stats there as well.
I think he's played better. That's kind of just where I'm at with it. He's played better. I don't think we're out of the woods yet because it's still not the greatest sample, but he's been shooting the ball better. I think defensively he's played better. He's moving his feet a lot better. The weak side rim protection is still there. Decision making's been a bit better. So I don't have too much to say because I don't have a large enough sample to definitively say one way or the other, but he's playing better.
Yeah, I almost feel like if you lose, who gives a damn? Jabari Smith is playing well. If you lose to Boston and Charlotte on back-to-back nights, but it is a little bit of a silver lining.
I'll give him this much. For a team that's kind of visual, like they've quit on a couple of the games, I've never asked myself, did Jabari quit? He's been one, like him and Katie are the two guys who I think I can consistently say they've been trying for 48 minutes. So I'll give him that much.
Yeah. Those are the two guys that personality thing. We talk about the personality of the team or losing that edge. It does not apply to those two, Kevin Durant or Jabari Smith. Like they don't need whatever it is that Ime is trying to find or get them to find the rest of the team. Those two guys don't seem to need that.
I'll say this. Here's the sample over his last 12. I mean, look at the splits. 39% from 3. Exactly what they need from him on 6 attempts a night. That's his normal volume. We say time and time again, when you have KD getting doubled and Alperen Sengun getting doubled and you kick it to the corner and it's wide open, you got to hit it. And he's been doing that recently, right? And then I love the 2.3 stocks a night. It's huge. Like the rim protection has been much better. He had 5 blocks against the Atlanta Hawks that tied a career high for him. Really, really solid play from him. The effort on defense has been amazing, as you guys mentioned. I think he's moving a lot better laterally as of late. So, yeah, you got to give him his props because he had one of the worst stretches I've ever seen in January. Man, it was so bad. Like it tanked his entire season because before that, he was shooting 38% from 3. Then he had that slump and he went down around like 34. So I think right now on the season sample, he's at 35, which is still bad, right? You got to be above league average for a season sample, but it's good to see him picking it up. And, I just hope he can remain consistent as well. So that's where I'm at with him. Lashar, I'm curious to see what you think.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The only way the Rockets are going to win is Jabari Smith has to play well because he's going to play, whether people like it or not, he's going to play 30-plus minutes every single night because they just need him on the court, especially now with no Adams. He has to play. He's playing a lot of backup center now because they don't play Clint Capella a lot of minutes. And he's their best shot blocker. And like you just brought up that 12-game sample, over the last 12 games, he leads the team in shot blocks. He has like 17 total block shots in that period. And then he's shooting 40% from 3 over the last couple of weeks. So when Jabari Smith plays well, they always bring up that stat when he scores over 15 points, the Rockets usually win. So when Jabari Smith is playing well, that's exactly what the Rockets need because he's the guy that they leave open. when he's on the court, unless Josh is on the court, then they definitely leave Josh open, whether he's hitting shots or not. But usually it's Jabari, the guy that they leave open, and he's usually the guy that kind of has to flash to the middle to get the ball on the double team when they double team Sengun and Kevin Durant. So when he's playing well, it also seems to kind of increase his defensive effort as well. So when he's making shots, that's when you kind of see the best version of Jabari. Because like I said, he's definitely there. To me, he's their best shot blocker. And he's one of their more versatile defenders because of his size and still being able to, majority of the time, at least stay in front of these, quicker guards. So for them to win for the rest of the season, Jabari has to play like he's played in his last 12 games that you mentioned, Brad. He has to play well because they don't really have anybody else that does what he does on both sides of the court.
Yeah, man. I look at his defense, man, and I was watching Brad. We were both talking about this. I think the defense that he played on Derek White on one of those isolation plays. I think it was either the end of. I don't remember if they.
It was probably early on in that game because I wouldn't have said anything positive in the back half of that game. I'll tell you that.
No. There, like I said earlier, there was no reason to. But
yeah.
I'm like, okay, well now he's looking more. This is what I say about Jabari. Over the last few games, and Will mentioned is a small sample size, but he's looked a lot more like the player profile that I feel like we've been talking about him since the very beginning. Knockdown shooter, reliable defender, even a plus defender, just one of their more well-rounded players. So, or at least he has been over this stretch. Now, that consistency, the Kurt Allen had this point. Jabari, here, I'll pull this up. Jabari, I think we might have put this up earlier. Jabari is inconsistent overall, but he has been important in many wins. Look, I would even stop it here. There was a stretch there where it was just like straight up. Jabari plays well, they win. Jabari plays poorly, they lose. So, like, I hate to oversimplify it like that, but that just kind of speaks to how critical and important that he is. So yeah, I would just point that out. We can open it up to questions. I don't know if y'all got anything else y'all want to hit on, man.
Sengun. We should talk about Sengun.
Yeah. Okay, so Sengun's triple-double, his second of the season. So Sengun, I don't know which direction y'all want to go with this, but Sengun's kind of like had quite a week, and we should mention, I don't think this was, part of the news yet. He's been added to the All-Star game. So that's, a news note to make. He's going to be replacing SGA on the world team. So yeah, as Sengun mentioned here, 2-time All-Star Alperen Sengun. That's can we just take a moment to appreciate that for a second, that the Rockets, this rebuild has now officially produced a 2-time All-Star. We don't have to even be deductive about him being a replacement or anything. We all understand Sengun is an All-Star level player. Even despite his little odd stretch in January or whatever it was. But that's kind of cool. I mean, you take all of these swings at it, and then your best player turns out to be your 16th pick, somebody that you did, I don't want to say move mountains, but you did kind of make an effort to go get. But 16th pick, out of all of the guys that you had, there's some hits and some misses in there, and all these first round picks that the Rockets have had over the, let's call it, 5 plus years or so, and Sengun is clearly the chief among them, has risen above them all. So just want to acknowledge him real quick, and again, his triple-double, really good game from him. What are y'all seeing from Sengun right now, who's been, let's be fair, up and down over the last 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it's been?
We can start with Will. I'll kick it to
you. Because I know how y'all get, man.
Man, you being this measured on it, man.
you talking about this nigga listening, Will? Who you talking about?
Yeah,
you know who he's talking about.
I know how y'all be, man. He's
hey,
Jesus
look,
Christ.
We're 45 minutes into the show.
If you say anything about him, that means you hate him. If you don't say anything about him, or if you say too much about him, that means you're impartial to him.
Man, have we not all built enough equity to know that we just gonna keep it real, keep it a buck?
I guess not. No,
y'all been doing this for years now, man. Come on now.
He could play better. I'll put it like that. He could. I think he himself would tell you he could play better. I'm glad he made the All-Star game. I think he played like an All-Star at points in time this season. I think as of recently he had not been. I think that's what kind of cost him the spot initially. But I'm glad he got the nod anyways. I think he's deserving of it. I need him to play a little bit better, man. He had a great game against the Thunder. I'll give him that. So moving in the right direction. But it was a great game sandwiched between some not so great games. And he'll tell you that himself. So I guess I'll put it like that.
What about you,
Let's try. I'll
Lashard?
go after. I'll go after you. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. I know his fans are definitely very passionate. I guess I would be too if I have to get up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning just to watch my favorite player play. I understand being passionate, but Shangun has said it himself multiple times. Like he has to play better. He hadn't played well in January. He's said that over and over again. He's always the first one to kind of take accountability. So I'll go by what the player that's actually on the court actually says, and he says he needs to play better, and he did that against the Thunder. Of course, there also been other circumstances with him dealing with ankle injuries for a good part of the season. That definitely played a big part in him having the struggles he had. But also, you know, he just has to do better on the court, whether it's the ankle injury or not. He has to make better decisions, not turn the ball over more as much, be more aggressive when he does have an opportunity when he's going up against single coverage. So, I mean, like I said, he would say it himself. And when he plays well, like he did, when he's actually the Shane Hub that we saw early in the season, that's when the Rockets are probably at their best because, I mean, let's be honest, he's the Rockets' best playmaker right now with no Fred on the court. So, like you say, it's been a kind of an up and down season. So I expect him. I mean, of course, it would have been good for him to kind of have a break during the All Star game. But at the end of the day, he wants to play in the All Star game. So I think that's a good thing overall with that. But we'll just kind of see in the second half. He just has to play better overall because really outside of Kevin Durant, it hasn't been a lot of guys that have been like consistent all season long. And so Shane Gillen has to be that guy because him and Kevin Durant, they're the best players on the team. It really comes down to that. If one of them isn't playing well, then the Rockets don't have a really good chance of winning games.
Yeah, first, I want to congratulate him. Of course, Turkey's only had 2 All-Stars in their history, him and Court. So him being the first 2-time All-Star is huge. He's the best player they've ever had. So it makes sense that their fans go crazy for him. They stay up all night and watch him play. It makes 100% sense. I get it. In the recent stretch he had, yes, like the beginning of the year, up until he got hurt, he was playing at an all NBA level. Like the caliber of player he is. We watched him in Eurobasket and the progression he's had on defense. Like he's more than all. He's a superstar caliber player. I'm very high on him. Like I'm favorite player on the team. But when I see him playing the way he did in January, like I'm looking at his stats, he shot was 60% from the free throw line, which is unacceptable. Right, 46% from the field when he's taking mainly hook shots, and his true shooting percentage was 50. And right now, over the course of the season, before this last game, he had the worst true shooting percentage amongst any guy, averaging 20 points in the entire NBA. And it's not the player that I watched in the summer, the player I watched at the beginning of the season. He's just much more talented than that, and the defense was also not looking the same. And I was happy to see this OKC game. Of course, he's playing against a really good center in Chet. And he always plays well against Chet, but he did, again, he had 6 assists in that first quarter. He was diamond. I like how they use him spamming the DHOs, and he's able to find people. And then he started getting his buckets. And I love the defense. Again, it's really great effort. I saw Will tweet about it. And, yeah, that's the kind of guy that the Rockets need going forward. Of course, he's an all-star caliber player. They just need that consistently going forward. Again, 46% on the hook shots in January is just – it's not going to cut it. That's not him. He needs to be in that 60 true shooting percentage range at a minimum. He's talented enough to do it for sure. So he just needs to.
Yeah. So like those numbers that you just recited, and then like I'm trying to reconcile that point, and then I got an earlier comment here, Brad, from Rico Rockets Crypto says every possession needs to go through Alpi. Like
I agree.
I mean, I have to find it hard to disagree. Like he should touch the ball on every possession, but then it's hard to justify that if that's what his numbers going to be, right? So it's like, okay, you have to play better because you're that important and that central to what you guys are doing offensively, especially with no Fred VanVleet out there. And then like the thing that bothers me, I think I mentioned this earlier about the whole makeup and attitude of the team, but like we can't be having no effort, no questions about your effort, and you're this caliber player, and you're this important and all of that. Like, it's got to be there, man, and it shows up. I don't think any more pronounced than on the defensive end. Like every shooter, every offensive player is going to have their lows, right? They're going to have their kind of ruts. Well, we'll come here on the podcast and be like, man, what's going on with Reed Shepard? What's going on with Jabari? Whatever it is, maybe except KD. But like the defensive side, the defensive end of the floor, and the effort to me is just the stuff that I can't really abide by. I can't really have that, especially since kind of we've seen that a little bit before in the past, and feeling like we're kind of beyond that. With Shingun, I feel like we long kind of put that past us, like after like the second year. So to be going back to that is a little bit disappointing for me. But in terms of just like the ball, I mean, it's there. It's there. It just needs to it needs to be more consistent. I think we can say that about the majority of the young guys. That consistency is an issue. If they can kind of string it together, right? Like kind of play on a string and play consistently at the same time together, then you're talking about a completely different. I think you're having a completely different conversation about the team. Like all of us kind of seem like we don't really view them as super like contenders right now, but those young guys play consistently. I feel like we're all singing a little bit of a different tune, even with their injuries.
Well,
But it's just so hard to rely on them to play the way that they play, say against OKC on a nightly basis, because you still have the Boston game and the Charlotte game to recite to go back to.
yeah, yeah. Just real quick on one thing. I think we haven't really talked about a lot is part of the problem is also Ma type of offense that he runs out there.
Let's talk about it.
I know you have to have certain personnel, but the Rockets barely have any player moving at all. And we've seen with Shangun when he's kind of the guy as a facilitator, he's at his best when he has option or he has guys on the move, he has guys cutting to the basket. You rarely kind of see that with the Rockets. It's just a lot of one-on-one standing around, everybody in their spots, waiting for KD or Alperen to kind of make a move. And teams are starting to catch up with that. We saw that with Amen, how they just got a center just sitting in the paint, waiting on Alp or Kevin to try to get in, get to the basket. So part of that is MA's fault. They just don't run any type of actual offensive system, and you depend way too much on. It kind of goes back to the James Harden days. And you don't have a one-on-one player like James Harden on your team right now. So you're kind of dependent on these guys to make all the plays. And I know he said read and react and, all that. But at the same time, you got to have more player movement. I mean, I know you don't have a bunch of catch and shoot guys on this team, but you got to have the offense have a little bit more movement. It's just way too stagnant at times.
So where would you have that movement come from? I was obviously Amen Thompson, but he's playing point. That's the issue there. Jabari needs to be a better cutter. KD's not going to be moving because he's playing 80% of the minutes. I think that's the issue he's running into.
Well, it's not even about, you don't even have to necessarily be cutting to the basket, but you can also be flares out to the top of the key. Have players moving and making the defense actually move. Because if you just have guys just sitting in the corners, what did the defense do? The defense doesn't even have to pay attention to it half the time. They're just waiting for somebody to try to drive to the basket. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be people cutting to the basket, but you got to have some type of movement as far as, even if it's more handoffs. KD said it himself, like sometimes he feel like he needs to stay in the corner because he doesn't want to clog up the paint with his guy. And he said that he needs to move a little bit more. And I think that goes for all the players. You don't even have to necessarily be moving to go straight to the basket. You can't all be just standing around waiting for Alperen Sengun to make these moves, because it's just way too predictable on offense, at least to me anyway.
Can I say I did like that was part to Lashar's point. That was part of what I liked about the very start of the OKC game. I thought you did see a little bit more of that, and it's kind of like whenever you do see movement or pin downs or anything like that, you're like, oh, where's that been at, or where is the consistency with that? So I do want to kind of co-sign what Lashard is saying, but also acknowledge like that was a clear difference in the OKC game to start. It's like they are doing a little bit more of that kind of stuff, and you would like to see more of it. And it's honestly kind of baffling that you don't, given kind of the struggles that they have. I don't know if it's an issue or they don't feel comfortable or who could get them into those kind of sets or who can get them in and out of those kind of plays. But I definitely would agree with that. Like it's just a bunch of standing around, your turn, my turn, ISO, KD, ISO, Shingun post up, see what we got kind of thing.
And real quick before y'all move on, that's how Jabari's also gotten a lot better in the last couple of weeks, because he's moving off of the guys when they're leaving them open. He's moving right to the middle of the paint. And he's getting that little mid-range shot. Something as simple as that you need to see a bit more from like some of the other players, because if you're just kind of dependent on them going one-on-one all the time, it's just way too easy to defend.
All right, we want to move to questions, or what y'all feeling?
We can get to questions. I'll say this on the Sengun front. I don't know what to expect from the All-Star game, but yeah, last year he played 13 seconds in that All-Star game format. So I agree with this comment. He definitely needs to play more than 13 seconds. I would have liked him to actually get some rest, but I just hope it's more entertaining this go around.
Man, can we bring back the All-Star game that all of our fathers and uncles and cousins and brothers grew up with? Like the everyman All-Star game, where it's the East and the West, and you know who's gonna play. Like in a regular format, I feel like Sengun would play,
and let them wear their uniforms as well. Let them wear the actual team uniforms, please.
Yeah, man, we losing recipes out here, man. That's all I gotta say about that. Losing recipes.
Yeah. Get to some questions. Do we win the OKC game with Amin playing?
That's an interesting question.
I don't think that win is as impressive as people make it out to be. I think the what happened was open shooters started making open threes against an injured OKC team.
I want to say a big thing is they were able to take a ton of threes. Do you get that amount of volume with Amin playing? That's a better question.
Yes. Teams give us open threes all night. Those same looks that OKC gave us, we're going to get tomorrow. We just don't make them. I don't even remember. The reason we were losing in the first half is because we weren't making threes.
Yeah.
And then the second half, we made them.
And turning the ball over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, I'm with you.
I don't think that win's that impressive. Or let me say that impressive. I don't think it's like a point of reference. I think the lesson here is make open threes.
Fair enough.
Also, Lou Dort did everything in his power to lose that game for OKC. It's something I don't know people.
I haven't seen his stat line in that game.
He did everything in his power to lose that game for them.
He shot 1 of 6 from the field. Yeah, minus 20. Yeah,
he was a negative 20 in a 6-point loss.
Wow. Yeah.
Boy had to do too much. Didn't have a gang out there. Felt like he had to put him on his back.
Does anyone feel like Amin has taken a slight step back defensively? I'll say this: he's got much more of a role on offense, and that's pretty much it. I don't think him and Nassar are too far off, but I mean, look at the difference in role. And Nassar is able to. He looks like a deep player right now, right? If Amin Thompson was playing the role he had last year with Fred being the point guard, I mean, he'd look like 10 times the defender. And I don't think he's playing bad by any means, but I mean, he's having to run a show on offense, so he can't exert all his energy on defense. Do y'all feel any different, or is that just me?
I also feel like if the team was, and again, I agree with what Will said earlier, I don't feel like the defense is the major problem with the team, but I feel like if they were better, I feel like they were better overall defensively last year. So like everybody looked better, you know? So I think it's a little bit of just them not, both him and his increased role, and them just not overall having the same horses that they had last year. Like, I think that just kind of makes everybody look a little bit lesser. So, or a men specifically in this case. So, but I mean, all NBA defender to me still. Like, I'm good with the men. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, I'm good. Someone said I thought Reed did better against him. How'd y'all feel about Reed's defense in the game against Oklahoma City? I don't think it was bad by any means.
Yeah, I mean, he gave it a good, give it an E for effort.
She tried, I guess.
He did try, man. He's out there fighting for his life, bro. I think it was fine.
Oh man,
I think it was fine, all things considered.
Yeah, he's just gonna be limited. That's all you can really ask for. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's really all you can ask for with him is effort. Because, I mean, he's just gonna be kind of limited on what he's gonna be able to do. You know, that play he made against Chet, like I think in the fourth quarter, that's the type of effort he's gonna have to give.
I was gonna say this, and then we can close. Maybe Fred comes back, and maybe that's why Stone didn't want to make a move at the deadline. But we'll see. I'm not banking on that. I'm not banking on that, of course.
All right. Well, let that be a cliffhanger. See if we get any breakthroughs between now and, I don't know, what is it? Early February, between now and a month and a half or so from now about that. But in the meantime, we appreciate y'all for joining us for this edition of the Rockets Collective. Had a really good time doing that. Make sure if y'all are not already subscribed that y'all do that. Go ahead and hit us with a like as well and comment and kind of get the conversation going. We appreciate all the participation. For Brad and Will, for LaShar Bankley, I am Brandon Scott. We do this once a week, Rockets Collective, man. Y'all check us out. And we'll see y'all soon, man.
Later.